Welcome everyone to Already Cancelled. I am Peter. That is Tara. We talk about TV shows here. The year is 2021 and the name of the show is Babylon 5. I saw those eyebrows, but like I don't think I was that smug when I was right last week about the kiss. Was I? Was I that smug?
Okay, sir. You may have won one
I wasn't smug
silly
though.
little bet.
I think my attitude was like, oh, did we have a bet on? I guess I won. That was like my response to the kiss, right?
Yeah. I love that you're bringing this up because you know you lost the long game.
Audience, you have no idea how smug Tara was being before we started recording.
I don't even know how to be smug.
You were so smug. She sent me a text after she watched the episode just with lots of laughter and just this general giddiness.
Well, okay. Not only was I right about, Mrs. Sheridan, because of course she was going to come back, but also I predicted it would be this episode. Of course, I did not know, and I was just joking.
Yeah, that's just a happy accident. Don't be taking
I don't know.
credit
I
for
feel
that.
like I should be called the Oracle of Mild Fuzz.
Yeah, a lot to talk about this episode. Did I say it's season 3, episode 21? It's called Shadow Dancing. I think I got distracted by the eyebrows moving up and down around then. Okay. So Franklin ends his walkabout, so we'll be talking about that plot line.
I'd say it comes to a very abrupt stop. Yes.
Well, he meets himself. It fulfills what he said, very literally in a lot of ways, what it was going to achieve. So we have that. We have a proper big battle happening in the war, and the build up to that. We have some more Delenn and Sheridan steps forward. Like, when this is over, we shall spend the night together. And the look in Sheridan's face as she says that, and she's like, no, not like that. It's a tradition. The female Mimbari is the word I'm looking for. Watches the males sleep because that's when his true face will be revealed. And
true face. That's awful. Because you have to see him drooling the whole night to know whether or not he's for you.
Hey, if you're still into him after that, then like
face halfway smushed into a pillow, snoring.
Yes. But so if she doesn't like what she sees, then she'll cut off, and then there's a pause just for him to get worried. It's like, whoa. You cut off. Ties to her family.
Ties to family.
Yes. But what if you do like what you see? We'll leave that for later. You don't need to know that right now. So yes, being coy. I think that means sexy times, though. I think that's what that means. Did you appreciate that they subverted this? Because we assumed they'd had sex when we saw this like tease of this future, and it turns out it's just that no, Delenn's going to watch him sleep.
Oh yeah.
For 3 nights. Okay, we have to talk about the end of it. We'll go back and talk about everything else, but clearly this is the big exciting thing and what you're giddy about and want to talk about.
Guess who's back? Back again.
I think my only critique of this at the end is that I could have seen it coming that it was going to be her, right? And it made a lot of sense, like, prior to this episode, that would be the shocking person to show up at this point, right? Given how intimate Delenn and Sheridan were getting. And that's why you suggested it. It's why it was a fair thing to predict. But there was some moments in the lead, and they do this thing where it's like her POV as she's like arriving at the station. And for the record, she came from a shadow ship, like a little ship came out of the shadow ship, and so she's been with the shadows this whole time. So she's allied with them like Morden, seemingly, maybe in a different capacity, but she's with them. But she arrives.
She sold her soul.
She arrives at the station, and she's it's all POV from her, and you see like the security guard who's taking her ID's reaction, right? And I get why he would react, because obviously he's going to see her name when he like scans her ID. He's like, oh, Sheridan? But there was like several people as she's walking to the station to the elevator that kept looking at her like almost like, I don't know, like Elvis like, had walked on the station.
I thought it was kind of like the Terminator 2 scene when he walks into the bar also.
Yeah.
Because also the POV is kind of high.
Yeah,
like she's super tall.
I thought it was going to be someone like Kosh, who everyone would be shocked to see.
Well, also Sheridan had just brought up like the vision that Kosh had given him about how there was another version of him, his other half. Yeah, I was something.
Yeah, I was expecting
so it would be like a man that would show up.
I was, if not some, I was expecting either like his equivalent that the Shadows have, which is what they've set up in this episode, and we'll talk about that. If not someone who might have even just looked like him, like that, and that's why like they're all shocked because they all recognize Sheridan. But that's my one complaint, is that all these red shirts are reacting to her like, whoa, someone famous or scary just walked on the station. I'm like, it's just a random middle-aged woman to you. Why are you looking at her like she's like the second coming has just arrived on the station? That was a bit weird.
I think so too. Yeah, but that's a bit strange.
So that's a bit strange.
Also, I thought it was very strange that Zach called Ivanova to let him know that there's somebody strange on board the ship, and not Sheridan, who it directly affects.
I think that's I kind of get it in a weird way, because it's like he's kind of scared to talk to Sheridan about the fact that the wife you thought was dead is actually, it's big news to give someone. So I like the idea that he went to someone who's like, you know, next in command, who he's more comfortable telling this to, because it's not as awkward to tell her. So I kind of get it. I get that choice.
It still seems like something that you would tell, like, oh, you have a visitor. At least be prepared, instead of calling Ivanova. Like, I could see if Ivanova was like the officer on duty, but she was sleeping.
That's true. But I get why he didn't want to call Sheridan. I get why Zach chickened out of doing that directly. I guess is what I'm saying. I understand that part. The build up is good. Like, the build. I mean, I don't think all the reactions to her make sense by the time she gets to Sheridan's quarters, but I mean, obviously it's interesting. I think it's one thing like when you used to throw out, I bet she's alive somehow, and I've come around on the idea, because we talked about how we kind of expected it because they never showed her face before, and that was a hint.
I still won the bet, so I expect my check to come in the mail.
Yes. You won. You were right. Yada yada. But like, you know, we said that we kind of expected to see her actually, because we never saw her face back when they could have shown her face, and that was probably because they knew they were going to cast someone eventually and they couldn't show her yet, and that's all cool. I think my like sort of not dismissal when you brought it up originally, it wasn't that so much that it was a bad idea, it was more just that without context to it, it just felt kind of like, well, why? But her coming from a shadow ship and potentially being allied with them like Morden instantly makes it more interesting. So they're sending his like presumed dead wife back to him because he's just won a battle with them. That is a really interesting tactic. Like, what exactly are they hoping to achieve? Is she going to try and talk him out of fighting? Is she going to try and talk him into like not like continuing the war? Talk him into going to Zahadum, which is, for the record, is the title of the next episode, by the way. And we're also counting down to Zed Day, right? We're 4 days away from Zed at the end of this episode. That countdown kept happening. So
Zed, Zahadum, yeah.
I mean, that's slightly. I mean, I kind of assume. I think the first time it came up, I think I just assumed it meant Zahadum.
I did not assume that until just now.
No, okay. I mean, it could be Lord
But I
Zed.
did assume something else that happened in this episode, which was that Sheridan's wife was still alive.
Would you like a medal?
I just don't want people to think I'm totally dumb.
I'll give you a little gold medal. It's just a little gold, like Garrett Graham on a medal.
Yes, that's my prize.
Can wear it proudly.
I would.
Yes. So, yeah, like my guess is they've sent her here to influence him, because now it's like, oh, we should be concerned that he can win a battle now. We should be concerned that they were able to stand up and fight us. And so now it's a new tactic. Now it's like, okay, we have to change gears and do something else. So it's interesting to see what the plan is. And
well, I mean, the shadows are perfectly capable of attacking somebody on a personal level. I mean, that's what Morden's whole deal was with Londo too. By going after, I want to say Adira, but I think that's wrong because that's Star Trek. And we just talked about it.
You're talking about Londo's girl? Yeah.
Girl that they murdered.
Yes. Yeah, no, I think this is going to be manipulation on some level. Like, you know, regardless of how, like, what it seems like, I feel like on some level it's going to be her trying to convince him to do something or change something. So
right.
Yeah.
And we know she's definitely evil. She's working for them because now that they've established that he has a relationship and he's in love with Delenn, and we love that he loves Delenn, there's no way he's going to like save her with love because he's already moved on now. So she's got to be a villain, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they try and swerve us, then like, she's going to try and argue why the shadows are like right, and like, I'm not saying that I don't think they ever will technically be turned into the good guys, but I think she might try and like say that. She might try and swerve that, and maybe Sheridan will even doubt or something, you know, like the potential, but maybe it'll only work because it's her, right? Because it's his dead wife has come back to him. There's
reasons to doubt the Vorlons. They haven't always had everybody's best interest in mind, it seems.
That's true. It's true. So
they have that whole, you know, godly thing where they're not really worried that much about the peasants that worship them.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, there's a lot of potential from this ending, but yeah, let's go back then. Let's go back and talk about what led up to it, because we have Ivanov and Cole are given a mission to go in, basically be this like scout ship to send out a signal as soon as the shadow ships appear in this central area, which we know that they're going to attack in, because that was set up last episode. And all right, you're making faces.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Did you not like when he told her that she was beautiful?
Nope.
And
remember when I texted you the long ugh sound?
I figured that was that scene. I'm not gonna lie. It was because you mentioned, oh, like Ivanov and Cole have been setting a mission together. I don't like this. And then, like, you know, a few minutes later it was and I was like, okay. And I was waiting for the scene. I was like, oh, when's this disgust going to happen? It was like, oh, it was that moment.
Do not want.
Although I did enjoy the, like, so Ivanova cracks a joke about the Mimbari beds and then like adjusts it, and I thought, wait, could this have just been adjusted to like be more horizontal the whole time, and Sheridan never figured it out? I almost would have preferred not to have the joke ending where it flipped back the way and she fell off. Like,
right, yeah.
I actually thought it was just funnier. No, this has
nobody tried this before.
Yeah, this just has an adjust. You can just put it up right if you want.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah, I had a friend who's like, one of their parents had like acid reflux or something, so they had this like triangle pillow thing that they had to sleep on to keep themselves elevated while they slept. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I'm gonna use this when I sleep tonight. It's so uncomfortable and awkward sleeping that way. Like, it just doesn't work. You have to be really tired to be able to sleep like that.
I suspect you get used to it. If you get used to sleeping like that, you'll probably get easier in time. But yeah.
Well, I mean, it definitely outweighs having to deal with acid reflux while you sleep, I'm sure. But
yeah,
yeah. I woke up in so much pain.
I tend to like, when I've got a really bad cold, I tend to have a bad cough, and I feel like the only way I can fall asleep is if I'm sitting up a bit, because if I lie down I just start coughing. So
I do push-ups
to fall
because
asleep,
it gets the blood flowing. Yeah, so you do push-ups and then you just go right to bed.
Interesting tactic.
Yeah. It works.
I do wonder if my sleepiness right before I want to go to bed is the best time for me to say, yeah, I'll put in some effort and do some push-ups.
Yeah, it doesn't wake you up, especially if you're sick. It just sort of gets your blood flowing and it clears your sinus so you can fall asleep a bit. Or at least get one good, Kleenex blow.
So, yes. So they're out there waiting for the shadow ships, and of course one shows up. It's a slightly different ship, actually. I thought it looked kind of like a hair clasp. This one, the shape.
Yeah.
But they do encounter it, and it's notable that it takes out their jump drive, their gate opening ability. So they're kind of trapped there, and potentially in danger. And luckily, though, Delen's convinced all of the other aliens to offer their ships for the fight, which is a bit of a trust exercise because you can't really tell them too much about where the fight is until the last minute and what's going to happen. And they do win the fight, so we get this big battle where Sheridan's kind of giving out commands. He's sort of standing surrounded by the big hologram of the battle, and he's
I really like that there's a classic UFO that's there.
I like that
I was
too.
Wondering who it belonged to.
Because I didn't really notice it until it fired its weapon, because it has a sort of a sputtering of it's like a machine gun laser, green laser.
It's like something out of War of the Worlds or something. Yeah.
But that destroys one of the shadow ships. I'm like, oh, wow, did a classic UFO just take out a shadow ship? That was kind of awesome.
Yeah, I wonder if it's the aliens that have more of that classic alien Halloween mask look.
Oh, maybe that makes sense if you pair the classic UFO with a classic alien head. Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, all those people working in the cornfields or whatever were right.
So the fight's good bit of fun, but it does, even though they win, the tone still kind of feels like, okay, we barely survived that and they retreated, but we had an advantage this time. We knew where they were going to be and we were prepared for it. But we have all
still
these
lost ships. Yeah,
we lost ships. We have casualties. All this is going on. So it kind of puts in this thing okay, there's still a formidable foe. It's not like we can just win now, right? This is still really tough, right? And that's important for the stakes. We feel like we have a bit of hope. We feel like we've built some strength, and it feels like progression. But we're still not just going to wipe the floor with the villain, and that's good. It's important for the story. So yeah, all that's good stuff. So yeah, that's deep. And
well, yeah, you say the stakes. There was one moment or one line where Sheridan's there's a 50% chance you'll come back. And to Ivanova and Cole, I'm yeah, but they're main characters, so there's 100% chance. There's zero stakes.
You don't know. Maybe Cole would have had to sacrifice himself to save Ivanova.
Yeah, and then it would have been 50-50.
For the record, I don't want Ivanova Cole romance to happen either. No, I'm good with it not happening.
I don't want it. I'm glad we agree on something.
Yeah. I don't think I hate Cole as much as you do, but he's
well, I mean, he's definitely the worst character.
Yeah, he's easily my least favorite character of all the main characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I like Zach more than Cole. I don't know if that's a controversial opinion, but
oh no, Zach's so likable. If he and Ivanova had a romance, I might not be opposed to it.
I feel like Ivanova would eat Zach for breakfast, which, fair enough. I kind of like that a lot of Zach's scenes are kind of really simple things. He just shows up to Garibaldi in this episode. He's like, "Hey, Chief, I'm going for lunch. You want to come get lunch?"
Yeah.
And obviously it leads into it sets up the Franklin plot, so there's a purpose. But I feel like a lot of Zach's scenes are him just want to do normal things, oh, I need to go to the post, or I need to go eat lunch, or he's just he's the everyman on the ship for us.
Well, yeah. Plus, it's Jeff Conaway. He was pretty famous before he did Babylon 5. He did Taxi, which I don't think is a show you watch. It's the one with Andy Kaufman.
No, I've seen it some. I mean, it wasn't a show I saw much. It was the show that was always on at 4 a.m. on the Comedy Channel. Yeah,
he was the pretty boy who wanted to be an actor in that show, and which I don't think he was on for the full series.
I like how you mentioned Andy Kaufman, but not Danny DeVito and Christopher Lloyd, who are by far more famous. But yeah, sure.
I always associate Taxi with the show that Andy Kaufman was in. Also. Anyway, and he was in Grease. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that.
I assume you've seen Grease. Yeah, he's Kaniki.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen parts of Grease at least when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a musical guy though, so it's never been something that I've wanted to go back and remind myself of. So, yeah, but just to finish the Sheridan stuff though, and the war stuff, because Sheridan, as you said earlier, he brings up the dream, and they start talking about, okay, what are the Shadows going to do next? Now that they know where they are, and he raises the question, they could have attacked us. They know where we are. This station, they could have come and attacked us at any time.
Yeah.
So, and I like that the show's sort of bringing this up, because you could kind of view it as almost a plot hole, like why don't they just come and attack them? But this is them saying, no, this is something
there's something about our station that's important, or that they're afraid of.
Yeah, maybe it's the planet, maybe it's, Dral and his super weapon. Maybe it's because they want to be able to have these characters alive to manipulate them, because that's what their next tactic seems to be. So there's a lot of reasons, but I like that the characters themselves are saying, why haven't they done this? And that's good as an audience, because it's like, oh, it's not ignoring these questions, it's making us feel like the characters are as smart as we are. And we're not sitting going,
although for some reason I never even thought about it until this moment, or until they brought it up in this episode. But like, oh yeah, like they could have. Ivana was right. They're sitting ducks. Like, why haven't they just come over and?
Well, I think it made sense up until sometime this season. I think up until they went independent.
Well, they were hiding for a while too. The Shadows didn't want to be seen.
Exactly, yeah. But ever since they went independent and effectively declared war, like, so the last maybe 6 to 8 episodes, why haven't they just showed up and killed them? Because potentially they could have, but I like that they're asking that question. But yeah, the big dream from last season, and he kind of goes through it, what he remembers, and kind of connects certain things. He's like, okay, so I saw you, Ivanova, saying, do you know who I am? And then a week later, you revealed your telepath abilities to me. It's like, okay, all right, so that was kind of that one. In a Psycho uniform, then we kind of ended up working with Bester, and telepaths were an important part of fighting the Shadows, so okay, that kind of maybe links up with that. But then it gets to the other parts we don't know yet, which is the man in the middle and you are the hand, those parts. And the way they start to sort of decipher it, they kind of start saying, well, there's two hands, so does it mean that there's the other hand is their version of you kind of thing? At least that's what I was getting from this conversation, is that they have, because this is the thing, up until now, other than Morden, who's kind of this messenger, a human messenger for the Shadows, the Shadows themselves don't have characters, right? They're this big force, this big unseen scary force. But this is kind of introducing the idea that there will be a central character in the Shadows that we can kind of compare as they are Sheridan, who is the one making the decisions, the one fighting back, the one doing stuff, which is a very interesting thing. I never really considered it until this episode brought it up. I was like, yeah, do we get a character, more someone, not necessarily someone that can talk and have scenes, because we know they look so different and they act so different, but do we somehow
do they have a leader or something? Yeah.
Do we somehow portray a character enough that we can get a sense that this is their Sheridan? Because and I think the show's done some interesting things with that, in the same way that we said right before Kosh died, they kind of did a great job in that last episode with him of oh, we actually got a sense of character for once, beyond just the enigmatic thing he had going on. So I'm curious. It was a really interesting thing to raise, which is why and it felt like that led naturally into who's arrived on the state, because it's right after they say this that I think we see the little ship come out of the shadow ship. So it's oh, is that their Sheridan coming on the ship? Technically it is their Sheridan, because our name is Sheridan.
Her name's Anna Sheridan.
And maybe yeah, I don't. Yeah, maybe as much as it's cool to think about everything we just said, maybe that's what it really means, is you're the hand and there's the other hand being the other Sheridan, your wife, rather than your counterpart from a position point of view of a counterpoint to him. So it may not mean that, it may just mean, no, there is the other Sheridan, there is another, right, to use a Star Wars line.
Look at you.
I know, it's sickening me to even say it. How dare I? At least it wasn't a Lord of the Rings reference. That's the only comfort I have.
Yeah. Still, we went with the Yoda line.
Some things are just so in pop culture that it's just a good shorthand to...
I understand.
Get the point across.
Must not be an equivalent Buffy episode. Oh, shoot. Now that I say it, I'm sure that there is one.
I don't know. I mean, there's episodes with doppelgangers where Xander's split in two and there's two Xanders running around.
Isn't there an evil Buffy that shows up? Isn't it Elijah Dushku or something?
Well, no, she's a Slayer. She's not a Buffy. She's not. At one point they swap bodies though, so we get to see her playing herself, or we get to see Buffy, Sarah Michelle Gellar playing Faith in Buffy's body. So that's fun. Oh, there's also Evil Willow. There's like Vampire Willow from another reality. At one point. Yes. You brought up Buffy. You want to talk about Buffy? We can talk about Buffy all day.
We can stick with Star Wars. That's cool.
How dare you? Don't you even joke about such a thing. Anyway, so yeah.
Yes. So Anna Sheridan has come to bring balance to the Force. She is the dark and he is the light.
Yes. Obviously, I expect there'll be a lot of interesting conversations to be had with her next episode.
I suspect so.
And I suspect we're also going to feel this pain of like him even considering what she's saying in the end, like knowing it's probably this evil trap, but she's going to sound like a jealous new girlfriend if she says anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll feel that conflict.
Yeah, I mean, they know that Morden was on the same ship as her, and Morden's working with the Shadows, so they're going to know that she's with the Shadows right away. Yeah,
that'll be something that should come up very quickly. Like, I don't imagine they're going to be not thinking that. It makes me also wonder, like, is everyone on that ship still there? Like, you know, everyone who was supposed to have died on that ship, are they all on that?
Yeah, did Morden say, or I don't know if it was Morden, did they, yeah, probably Morden, say, like, basically they gave us a deal if we worked for them, then, you know, we could live. But if we said no, that they would kill us right away. Yeah,
you're right. So a number of them might still be alive then on the Shadow ship.
People will do anything to survive.
Yes.
Including selling their souls.
Yes, seemingly. Cat, go away. Being a pest. So, no, all this is super interesting. And I was enthralled. That last few minutes was super exciting. Like the build up, the POV shots, like the phone call to Ivanova, all of it building up to the moment. But I will admit, the POV stuff did make me think it wasn't her. It made me think, oh no, it's going to be someone that they would all recognize and react to. So it's a little bit weird for me that they all know what Sheridan's wife looks like. All these red shirts.
I wonder, did we know that her name was Anna before this?
I think so. I think he's mentioned it. I mean, I couldn't have told you that if you'd asked me, but I think it was.
Because I did notice in the opening, like after the opening credits, when they have like the guest stars for the day, there was a Rachel and then there was an Anna with no last name. I'm like, I wonder who those people are.
Oh,
and
that's
then
smart.
Rachel showed up, like pretty early on with the Franklin storyline, and then obviously Anna was.
No, that's actually really smart because there's a lot of TV episodes that will sometimes spoil that a character's going to show up if you notice in the credits. So I liked that they left off the last name so that unless you remember,
because that is the thing that's a 90s thing. Yeah. So like it's always going to be there. Like you'll see John DeLancey, and you're like, oh, I guess Q's showing up in this episode.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Something they started doing is that if there was one that was supposed to be a surprise, they'd save it, and it would be the first thing you'd see at the end. Like, you know, when it cut to black, they'll say special guest star at the end. But yeah, like, so that's really smart of them to like, because even if you did remember her name as Anna, like, it's just the first name. It could be another Anna. There's no reason to think that they wouldn't just have a random character named Anna for an episode.
Right, and we've never seen this actress before, so the name's not going to do anything.
Yeah. So I think that was pretty smart, actually. I didn't even notice that, but that's pretty smart. So cool. Yeah. So all this main stuff was pretty great, by and large. Ship battles, the intrigue of when they're going to show up, all of the mystery of this other hand, and now that I've talked through it, I think it is just meaning his wife rather than his counterpart on the Shadow side, but. You know, it's a nice thing to think about, and maybe it is something they'll touch on.
Maybe she is more of his counterpart, also.
Well, you think she's actually helping make tactical decisions, and therefore is kind of like their Sheridan? Like, literally, their Sheridan?
Maybe. I mean, maybe this is the world that she's accepted, and she's like, okay, if this is my job now, might as well like it. Might as well enjoy what I do. You know, put in some effort.
You crack jokes about the Force, but if they are actually actively recruiting more and more people of like different species, including humans, it is kind of like, you know, some people are being pulled to the dark side, and like people are like choosing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think this has very much like a whole, you know, heaven versus hell thing from the beginning, anyway.
So what you're saying is she's working for the Antichrist. Okay.
Nice. I just watched a movie about that today.
So,
House of the Devil is pretty good.
I mean, I would suspect that because I felt like when they were debating what to do next, like it kind of felt like that it was on the tip of their tongues, whereas like, well, they're going to come back and hit us at some point. Maybe we should like go after them first. And I thought this was going to, because remember the warning was don't go to Zaadum, right? That was the warning from Delenn in the future. But now with the end of the episode, I'm thinking, no, the wife's going to like convince him to go, or try and convince him to go. And that's, like, go for a meeting, go and have a diplomatic meeting with the shadows. Maybe they'll be nice to you.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he's conflicted because he knows that they win. Because he's seen that future where they do win. They do beat the shadows. Not without great cost, but they do beat it.
Yeah. Oh, I do wonder to what extent that stuff from Londo, like, maybe... Now, I was going to say that maybe everything he says, you can't necessarily take at face value because we know he's being controlled until we see him properly later. But he does say he wants his people saved, so it does kind of sound like a lot of like what he's talking about his people being in this hellhole. And it does look like shit. When Sheridan looks out the window, it does look like they're in hell. So
there's a lot of fire.
Yeah. So I mean, I think my point was null and void. I think as soon as I thought about it for longer than 3 seconds, but yeah, that's fine. All right. Do we need to talk about Franklin's escapades?
Yeah, the end of his journey.
The end of his journey. Franklin gets stabbed this episode.
In the belly. Really
brutal. He tries to be a hero and stop someone from getting mugged. Although it turns out the guy that was getting mugged was a drug dealer, so it was all a bit seedy anyway. This is life in the brown zone, okay? You get out of the brown zone, this is the world you're in. There's even like this rich couple who are debating what their daughter should see or hear, and they're like, they've been watching a lot of the new ISN, it sounds like, where she's like, oh no, President Clark says this and these people are the problem, and imagine this station like going independent and leaving Earth, and they get offended their daughter is talking to Franklin. It's like, oh, you don't know where he's been, and they pull her away. So but ultimately though, he tries to intervene in this mugging, gets stabbed for his efforts, but he's climbed down into this like little like shaft, so he has to like find the strength to climb out even though he's been stabbed, and it's very difficult, and it takes him a while to do it. And it's not after he talks to himself, full uniformed, like sort of like cocky version of himself shows up to like basically talk some sense into him, and says,
he realizes, wait a second, I have the worst bedside manner ever.
This is true, yeah. He basically says to himself that he's basically just ran away from things his whole life. He ran away from what his father wanted him to do. He ran away when they wanted him to turn over his Mimbari medical files after the war. He always just keeps running from rather than confronting the problems at hand. And maybe that's what he eventually should now decide to do. So I did really like how bloody he was, because like see when it cut back to him and you could see like all the handprints as he was like crawling across the floor. I actually really liked that. I thought that was a really good visual.
Yeah, it was really gory.
Yeah. And no one's there to help him. He's pleading for help because the guy they saved is like, oh, I can't help you, man. I'm like, you can make a call and say someone's been stabbed down here and just run away.
Right, yeah. he just abandons him.
Yeah.
Like, thanks for saving me, but like if I do anything that involves authorities, they're going to arrest me, so I don't want to be here when you're found.
So, but he does make it up to like, the main part of the deck, and like some security find him and take him to medbay. I really liked Garibaldi like talking about how like early on when Zach was talking to him, he was saying that I feel bad about and because we know Franklin's like told both him and Ivanova to piss it off when they try to go see him, but he's like sometimes when people like leave, like
they just want to see if you'll come after them.
Yeah. So I mean, sometimes they want to leave, but sometimes they want to see if you come after them. Yeah, I think follow them into hell was the exact phrase that Garibaldi used, which I liked. But he says, I've been there. I've had my own, and this is the thing. It's not just, the character has had alcohol problems.
Yeah, he's speaking from experience.
So he knows, he has some like comparison and like experience to talk about. So I liked at the end when he comes in to see him and like they have their kind of their moment. I like that Franklin looks around, because this is like just after the big battle as well, so he sees that medbay is just full of people being treated for wounds, and
yeah, you can see that he has some guilt that he's not there to help.
Yeah,
because he had to go do a thing.
Yeah, he sort of finds his purpose again. So when Sheridan comes down to see him, and he's already barking out orders from a wheelchair, he's like, well, you can have your job back, if you want it. Like, we kind of need you right now. Like, we're all hands on deck. And
we could really use a doctor.
And he's like, yeah, I don't want it. And then he's like, you're holding that stimulator wrong. Here, that's just how you use it. It wasn't a stimulator. That was sterilizer or something. But I think they use a lot of stimulators in the medical profession. Well, I guess they kind of do, but it sounds like a sex toy. The point I'm making is it's not a sex toy.
No, it's for like hearts and stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, I thought this was fun. I think what I liked about this, I think the performance from the actor was pretty good. Like the moment where
when he was trapped and stuff and asking for help, it was pretty heartbreaking. Yeah,
and then the moment where he says, "Yeah, I want this," at the end, when Sheridan says, "Do you want your job back?" It felt quite genuine. It felt like he really had kind of like changed things, and like almost like he was being selfish about it for forcing himself to go on this walkabout. Rather than just sort of get through his shit and like get back to work.
Right.
But was it?
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like him and Garibaldi having the conversation of, yeah, I did find myself, and turns out I don't like me very much. I'm kind of a dick.
It's a shame that he never brought up the whole encouraging patients to come back to his quarters thing.
Yeah.
During all that. Maybe we should have mentioned that.
Well, he's a changed man.
Yes. So
he's had his Jakar moment of enlightenment, and now he's gonna be better.
Yes. Well, that's what he says. It's not about. He took stims to do more, but maybe what he should have been focused on was just doing better.
Yes. Do not be sorry. Be better. That's Kratos.
And as much as it's funny to see him like kind of grilling, like show the other doctor how to do something at the end of the episode, it's like maybe this is part of the point. Maybe if he like makes everyone else better around him, he can trust them to do the jobs well when he's not there. He can take the time off. He can trust his staff to actually perform things. Yeah. Teach them all to fish, as it were, rather than fish for them.
Right. And you don't need to rely on just yourself.
Yeah.
By taking stim packs and staying up all night.
Oh, did you like that moment? Actually, see when he's being like stretchered into the med bay, there's a moment where he kind of like has not a vision, but like when he looks up, instead of seeing the doctors and nurses or whatever, he sees
his friends.
He sees Garibaldi, Sheridan, and Ivanova. I actually thought that was quite a sweet little moment, to be honest.
Yeah, that's so too.
Like it wasn't overstated. It was just a simple little thing, and it's like he knew as well that they weren't really there. It was just like a sort of like.
It's just a mild delirium from the blood loss.
Oh, I think it was him realizing how much he wants to see them again. Yeah. He wants to be okay to see them again, and it was kind of just like, okay, this was kind of sweet, especially since the last time he saw two of them, he just told them to piss off.
Basically.
So, I think that was a neat moment for the character. So that was good. Obviously, if I have any critiques about this episode, is that not a lot of Londo, not a lot of Jakar.
Not any.
Yeah.
Guess they're not fighting this war.
I'm sure they'll be around next episode. But
I didn't even really see any Narn. Like, I was expecting them to be surrounding the Mimbari to protect them or something.
I didn't. I always miss them when they're not there. But obviously, there's a lot of exciting stuff in this episode. And the countdown is still pretty effective. When it gets to that ending, like after that reveal where it just says, 2
more days.
I think was it not 4 at the end? Maybe it was 2.
I can't remember.
It doesn't really matter. It'll tell us. It'll give us an update at the start of the next one. It'll say Z minus whatever. So, but it kind of feels like it's counting down to him going to Sahadum, and
it does. And like you said, the next episode is called that. So
I do.
At least his decision is going to be next week.
Yeah, I do wonder if I don't want to say swerve, that's not the right word. I do wonder if like the status quo is really shooken up for the end of the season. Like going into season 4, like is there like a completely new element to this that's introduced because he does visit Zahadum or whatever Anna Sheridan like says to him, like whatever she reveals. Like I wonder just how different the status quo is going to be getting into season 4 based on what happens next episode.
Yeah, we shall see.
Because I mean, this show's obviously not afraid to shake things up halfway through a season because it's done it multiple times at this point. But it does kind of feel like, you know, at the end of a season, it's the time to like introduce a new element or layer to everything that's going on.
Are we going to have a New Year's Eve party on the finale?
I think they're a bit busy to be celebrating New Year's.
Just in the background, just have a bunch of people partying. Should all acquaintance be? No champagne popping.
I just hope everyone enjoyed Tara singing. I'll try and make her sing more on the show. I know everyone enjoys it.
I'm an excellent singer in my car where no one can hear me but me. I could really belt one out.
So yeah, obviously, big episode, big ending, and I'm excited to see what the conclusion of the season is. So,
me too. Can't wait.
Yeah, almost at season 4. Time does fly. Time does fly. But let us know what you think of this one in the comments below. You can like and subscribe, ding the bell for notifications. All these things help out on YouTube. The algorithm is benefited by clicking those buttons and commenting, so please do hit them. But you can, of course, also support us financially. Can't they, Tara?
That's right, Peter. If you enjoy our reviews, please check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MildFuzTV. And you can donate as low as $1 per month, which will get you access to a bunch of movie reviews that we've done. And if you donate $5 per month, you'll get access to these Babylon 5 reviews 6 days early, so you can find out what we think of the season finale tomorrow. Lucky you.
What a sell. What a hook. Yes, and of course check out Mild Fuzz Movies, the other YouTube channel that we have, because you can find a science fiction movie podcast called The Atomic Cinema Experiment that myself and Tara do.
That's right.
We have like 140 episodes, I think, now.
Yeah, almost 3 years, right?
Yeah, talk about movies. Yeah, it'll be 3 years in February-ish, May, March.
Something like that, I don't know.
March, April.
Feels like ages.
What are you saying?
My hair's grown so much since then.
It has, yes. Tara has quite short hair if you go back to the early episodes of that.
Yeah, I got drunk and pulled a Britney once. I cut my own hair. And then I had to go get it professionally done. But I wanted to, because it was severely damaged.
No one asked you to explain this or justify it.
Well, I did not enjoy my short hair. I'm very glad that it's long again.
Yes, but it says a lot that you felt the need to like really explain your actions.
Well, I think the idea of getting drunk and pulling a Britney is pretty funny.
Oh, dear. All right, well, I think my cat said it's time to wrap up. So thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching Babylon 5. Just don't give away the home world.